And Pops, I want to talk about this the fallout of Werewolf by Night, which is getting just a ton of praise from people. And I myself kind of gave it a slightly better than average sort of response. This is Elsa Bloodstone here. So yeah, Werewolf by Night is a Disney Plus standalone movie or special, or however you want to look at it. Werewolf by Night came out in like I think 1972. Definitely introduced Moon Knight as a mercenary trying to catch the werewolf, and it's part of this sort of like monster universe in the Marvel comic books. And it's not something I'm going to pretend that I was really into. I really just enjoyed more of the superhero aspects than some of the other stuff. Uh, their monster stuff to me was always just a cash grab knockoff version of the Universal classic monsters and stuff, and it just never really got me. I just didn't really get into it too much. I'm watching the show, and the show, I'm going to be honest, I really disagree with a lot of folks. It is a clear bait and switch. She is the star of the show. Werewolf by Night is the secondary character. I did love the first 15 or 20 minutes. She's the one that takes down two or three of the other hunters. He transforms and takes on basically the toady guards from her mom. He doesn't, even when he's a werewolf, first off, I have no idea why the werewolf's doing martial arts, by the way. But my point is this is Elsa. And I'm like, I don't know who else is. Okay. So I'm like, I missed something. So I went back and I read some of the comic books. So, how did we get to this? How did we get to a character that is this, right? So let me show another version, because at the end of the episode, this was the face that she gives. And I was like, man, this is what you guys are going for? So what happens is, she has the bloodstone at the end, she's got this horrible, smug look on her face. And what they do with the bloodstone is once she has this thing, there's this moment where they start playing like Wizard of Oz music, and the color starts saturating the scene. So they're adding color, very much the way Wizard of Oz transferred from a black and white opening into the color. Yeah, good luck. It only sort of worked for me, but I was just so shocked. I went back, like, what is Elsa Bloodstone's first appearance? How is she introduced? I kind of knew a little bit about Ulysses Bloodstone. I kind of viewed him more as like an odd knockoff of like a Van Helsing type character, the monster hunter, basically, right? They have to have contrived reasons to have these creatures in these comic books. That was pretty much what Ulysses is. So the story in the show is Ulysses died. This is the daughter. And I just didn't know who the character was. I thought, well, it's in the comic book. Somebody had mentioned, I had heard somewhere in the press or whatever that she was going to be this daughter. So I was like, okay, well, this is typical, the gender thing and all of that. But I think if it's in the comic book, I have to give it, let's give it a fair shake or whatever. So I went back, and this is the first appearance. This is the comic book. This is Bloodstone #1. It came out in 2000. 2001. Let me see if I can see that. This is the problem with their, let me see if I can get to the first page. Their app doesn't allow you to really zoom in exactly the way like normal people would want to zoom in. Anyway, this is the first issue. Yeah, that's her. That's her butt looking right at you there, buddy. Yeah, she's. So literally, this is Elsa Bloodstone. This is page 9 of episode 1. This is it. She's literally like super sexy co-ed, right? College age, blonde hair, blue eyed, big boobs, super hot, super cute, very funny, very witty. She's showing up with her mom, and it's like, well, the dad's died. What's going on? All these different things are happening, right? And you have these like this backstory where she's meeting these different elements and in the story, and you don't quite understand exactly what's going on, which is great for the story. Anyway, basically they do this thing where they transform her, because they give her the necklace. So she meets Adam Frankenstein. So meet a Frankenstein monster. They have other like the butler and all of that. And they give her this bloodstone thing. She has no idea what this thing is or why it works. But immediately, she has this bloodstone power. And I like the fact that she does not try to pretend that she has a clue to what's going on. This is Adam, right? She's very just jittery and confused. And there are great lines. I mean, the dialogue for this is a very underrated miniseries. It's a lot of fun read. There's references to James. She makes a James Whale reference, which obviously is the director and creator of the original Frankenstein film. He is super funny and a great sort of like person like wearing like a Yankees ball cap and stuff. I mean, it's just very great. So when she puts the brooch on, I mean, it just basically connects to her, and she's just like, cause she's got this blood connection, pun intended, to this ability. So that is pretty much the process of how she's introduced. And I just want to get to so she ultimately is confronting Dracula, right? So this is how that goes, and then it moves quickly. This is Bloodstone number 2, and they waste no time by just continuing to ramp up. Just they quick. So it's interesting because she is very sort of like clever and interesting, but also like this is literally the shot of Dracula attacking her. Talk about like, I mean, she's barely covered of what they were going for, right? But she's also super funny because of this power she has. She's able to do things that she doesn't even quite understand. He's constantly mentoring her, trying to give her some advice, trying to help her. She's very humble. He makes her a quote costume, right? So he's trying to figure out how to be this monster hunter or whatever. And this was the costume, which I loved it. I think it was great. And she's like, isn't this a little pervy? And he's like, pervy, what do you mean? And it's like, you're kind of like everywhere. And so this is a brilliant way of basically making the fanboys buy comic books. I mean, look at this shot of her. She is super, super hot and beautiful and sexy, right? Anyway, so let me stop that. I went on and I read a little bit more. She joins this group, kind of like this. I think it was a few years later. They had this little this series. Warren Ellis writes it's like 2005 or so, Next Wave or whatever it's called. And they have like Machine Man. They have Boom Boom, who's a mutant, and they have them like out there, and they ultimately end up it's like fighting some mysterious corporation. But Warren Ellis's writing is so off-putting. I could not enjoy it at all. Like he creates a character called Captain F. Yes. Whose only funny part of that whole story was he shares a story about running into Captain America, who beat him 7 ways to Sunday and left him in a dumpster with soap in his mouth. And I thought that was freaking hysterical. But she's completely transformed by that point. Like she's going to have red hair now, not blonde. She's completely covered up. She's not really witty. She already become kind of witchy. Like everything that made the character interesting and fun in this like Tomb Raider looking character is lost immediately in the Marvel comic books. Like it's just, I don't quite understand. So let me see if I can find, I got to find the one that might be Next Wave. So you can kind of see the transformation parts. I don't know which issues. I don't know which is which. I just went and tried to pull this up. There's another series that they have her in where she's doing like this monster hunting group thing. See how they've already transformed her. She already has like she has hair. She's all covered up. Get to come up here. Yeah. But let me go just a little bit bigger so I can give you guys the best. Their app just freaking desktop reading. It's obviously designed entirely for a phone. It's not anything else. It's just not user friendly, right? Obviously, there's a lot more use of guns and things like that immediately that are happening. This is how she is. There's like a scene where she meets Deadpool, right? Yeah, it's completely transformed. But I will say this. This is the new version of Adam and the mummy friend that they have. I think they call him Hotep, just Hotep. And I don't know why all that's mixed into her page. But see, this just a lot of what made this character become a big deal. They completely revamped long before we get to this version in the MCU who is, I mean, I guess it's a brunette. Smug, irritating, Mary Sue, right? She never gets beat, never gets hurt. Like Elsa Bloodstone in the comic book, has been radically changed. And I have a lot more reading to do to try to maybe flush out my understanding of this character or whatever. But I was so blown away by what this character looked like and the fun of how good this little miniseries was introducing her in this little universe they took. And then they immediately abandoned it all and made it into a bunch of garbage that was just no one cares. No one's going to care. I'm confused, and maybe I've missed it. Is they went from miniseries and they didn't publish something right away. So I guess maybe it didn't sell. But I don't know about this. I didn't know about this. So if it is, it's just one of those things where you can't just call something Bloodstone with a hot chick in it and not have some sort of marketing to let the nerds know there's a hot chick in it. Like, I don't understand. And she is everything you want in a fun comic book. Oh, basically, it's Tomb Raider. Let's just be honest. It's just literally like a knockoff of a Marvel version of Tomb Raider. So I don't know if this is remotely helpful to you. Let me know in the comments. I know there's a lot of back and forth about Werewolf, and it is, one of the better things that Disney Plus has done. But what they've done to this character, to me, is really kind of made me kind of sad. It makes me kind of disappointed. So anyway, that's my shtick. That's my take. You let me know what you think. I'm Pops.